welcome to Nerdsplaining Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me, as always, my co-host, Jose Romero.
What it is, Nerd Day is back again. We missed another week, but life occurs.
Listen, we're very busy. We're very busy, but we're back for the Week in Geek to tell you all the things you want to know.
The nerve of life getting in the way. God damn.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen, and by the way, if you were in Huntsville, Alabama, shout outs for coming out to my show. Surprise show, I was there. You got to see me. I'm going back on the road, but that's not here. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about stuff we ain't here to talk about. The stuff that makes us all super happy, even though we're antisocial and introverted. We're talking about comics. Sure. We're talking about new comics, movies, shows, reviews. I mean, it's been a big week.
It has. Actually, no, it's been a lot of good stuff. I have to eliminate some topics. There's too many nuggets. We don't want to eat with our eyes, as they say, right?
Not at all.
So we chose a few select, couple light ones, and we got a lot. The trailer park was busy this week. A lot of vacancy, a lot of 3 big trailers. Actually, 4 big trailers. I know you want to talk about Barbie, but I might leave Barbie out.
Oh.
So yeah, I know. So it is what it is.
There goes my collection.
We gotta make cuts. But no,
I will say we talked about this last episode. Saw Dungeons and Dragons, by the way, really fun. Enjoyed it. Go watch it. It's the fans are proving the critics wrong. The critics are like, it's gonna murmur. No, it's exactly what a Dungeons and Dragons movie should have always been. It's great. Everyone feels so. And yeah, enjoy it. It's great.
I thought the critics liked it as far
as the critics actually hated it until South by Southwest, and then
South by Southwest. Well, I'm looking
and then the audience review kicked it into overdrive.
I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes at 90%.
Dude, that's what I'm saying, man.
So, I mean, as far as the critics go, critics is 90%.
Well, before it was down to like 50 or 60 something.
It could have been
South by
Southwest they did premiere and those early ones, but I mean it's at 90 now, which is a great score. I think I see a lot of 90s. Air 94, which is a good movie. John Wick 94 and Mario 54. Wah wah. It's a me, Mario. I haven't seen Mario yet. I didn't get a chance to see it.
It's a me, disappointing.
Whatever. I heard Mario's okay though. Like it's just a lot of.
I heard it's fun. I heard
it's just fun. It's a lot of nostalgia porn.
Right. It's just fun.
Which is fine. Fun. I mean, what do you expect? I'm okay.
It's a kids movie. What do you want?
What do you exactly?
It's a kids movie.
Fair enough. But Dungeons and Dragons.
It's not Bob Hoskins. It's not Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, but D&D is the one.
Oscar award winners here. Okay.
That's a good point. John Leguizamo. But no, D&D is a good one to watch for nerds. It's a really fun movie. So yeah, I wish I would have done better. Just I get it. But let's get to a couple of topics here and. Let's jump in this first. First one I saw, I didn't tell you about this one. I just kind of caught last minute. But there was a quick story on Frank Grillo, who was part of the MCU as Crossbones. Right. He's the poor man's John Barenthal, as I like to call him.
He was also in the Purge movies. He did this last
Purge 2. I think it's basically, I like him. He's John Barenthal light. He's very similar.
Absolutely.
You can interchange. Like he was, Punisher. I'll be fine with it. But yeah, so he was talking about, because I guess news got out that he's going to be part now of the DC. Movies with James Gunn, whatever.
Okay.
Rumored about him doing as part of the Commandos, with the
Howling Commandos.
That one, yes. That's what it's rumored to be in. I don't know.
Oh no, the Creature Commandos.
Commandos, something Command. I forget what property it was.
Marvel's Howling Commandos, DC's Creature Commandos.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so we were talking to him about him coming over, and he said because he left. He's talking about how a lot of articles say he left Marvel for DC. Right, and he's talking about, he thought Crossbones. I got a quote here. Thought Crossbones served their purpose. He's interesting, but obviously he got very fucking. That's his quote. Short amount of time on screen. He was supposed to be a longer. Yada yada yada. So I think there was some meat on the bone. I was disappointed, which is why I left over to DC. Now this is a clear definition of controlling the narrative, revisionist history.
Your character blew up.
Yeah, he didn't choose to leave MCU. Let's get it clear. Your character got axed. So what?
Your character first had a helicarrier dropped on him, and then he got blown up good.
Yes. So, I mean, you lived. You got a second chance for 2 minutes in Ultron, right? But yeah, he's acting like, oh, I decided to leave. Calm down, dude.
He's trying to make himself sound like LeBron. I'm taking my talents.
Yeah. So
over here.
He's calling me over here. Listen, a man's got to eat. I get it,
Hey,
right? By all means, do what you want. There was no work at MCU for you, so you had to go to DC, which is
absolutely.
not that's a nice, good, soft landing as far as I'm
And good
concerned,
on you,
right?
man. Listen, if
Yeah,
you're if
hell
if
yeah.
you're doing Creature Commandos, you got an animated movie for sure, which means you're going to be in the live action because that's all part of the gun plan.
Right, he talked
So
about
that's
yeah,
two films you
interchanging.
got
Yeah,
locked in.
yeah. So listen, whatever, but don't kid yourself. Okay, relax. I get it. You want to make yourself look good. I broke up with her. I get it. We've all been there, right? Yeah, mutual separation.
I'm sure Frank Grillo was like, "Listen, if you're not going to get John Barenthal, I'm here. So
Yeah,
let's do
I'll be
this."
your.
And
I'm the DC John Barenthal. There you go. How about that?
there you
Yeah,
go.
cool. Which again, I'm fine. Well, I like Grillo. He's good. He doesn't get a lot of good stuff, a lot of
Yeah,
notoriety, but he's
I
good.
agree. But he's good. He's solid.
No, he's very solid, exactly. So yeah, good for him. But yeah, let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100 here. Again with their, the harbingers of truth on this show, right? Your objectivity's broker. We want to keep it 100%. But that's what really happened. But either way, another one interesting story I found here on Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, right? Is that what it is? The show, whatever.
Yes.
And it's funny because I read this and it's very interesting because the streamers, they measure the measurements all over the place, right? Sometimes they talk about the total viewership hours for a show. Sometimes they talk about the watch through, if people actually finish through the show. They call it click. I forgot what that click numbers.
It's click your retention, the binge worthiness of the show, how
Right,
long they go to
but
plow
look, they look
through.
at first click numbers as a
Right.
phrase or as well. So basically, they look at new subscribers, right? What's the first thing they click on? So Amazon, when Lord of the Rings popped out, this was one of the highest ones they had. So I think it was 90%
Sure.
people who just got Amazon Prime went straight
Makes
to
sense.
Amazon,
Yeah.
which
Mhm.
which tells you what that they got the subscription for that particular show.
Absolutely.
Very very successful. Early on, talking about a lot of views for Lord of the Rings, which I get, it's a big property, of course. But I found this very interesting though, that at the end of the day, as far as the percentage of viewers who actually finished the show, was 37%.
That's rough.
That's a little over a third. That's pretty bad,
That's
right?
rough.
The show wasn't that bad. I didn't hate it.
It wasn't bad, but it was boring.
I mean, I get it.
It
I do
felt
get it, right?
like
You got to capture us early. I get it. I understand that. But damn, that's a pretty low number.
I mean, listen,
Oof.
not for nothing, but we stopped covering after episode 4 just because we're like, all right, it's Lord of the Ringsy,
Yeah.
fine.
It was fine.
Like, there was no like, dude, are you watching this show? Like,
Right.
there was no excitement towards it.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, Game of Thrones going on at the same time. That was a
Absolutely,
superior show,
and
by
they
far.
did it better, even
But
though
by
it
far,
wasn't
yeah.
great. It was just better than that.
Yeah, easily, right? You put a gun to my head, I'm watching Game of Thrones. Not even breaking a sweat there. But yeah, it's an interesting number because I mean, listen, they pumped in a lot of fucking money on this show, man, like 500 million just for the rights or whatever it was. The show cost 250 million, maybe more than that. And second season won't be cheap. They have to come guns blazing, and that's a low. And it's interesting because I went other articles to find other shows what the comparison is, right? So I found an interesting thing on Stranger Things, for example, the last season, which the views and the highest view show on Netflix, blah blah blah, all this other stuff. They had a 60-something% completion rate, which is considered good in the business. So I guess it's a good number. Like I don't know what the benchmark is. I don't know if that's maybe.
Well, it's a completion rate while the show is airing, which is like back-to-back episodes. Eventually, people complete it later on.
Well, they look at the completion. Sometimes look at between a certain couple of weeks. Sometimes throughout a few months, whatever they choose to look at. But 60-some%, which is for them, they said it's a very good number. So I guess it was good, but still, I'm surprised. That surprised me too. I figured if you're watching Stranger Things season 5, it's because you probably watched the first 4, and why would you stop watching it? It's weird. It's odd. Particularly that season was great, right? If it was Lord of the Rings, okay,
well,
I get it.
I blame COVID.
But look, even though 600, that's still a good number. That's still a really good number. It's not like, oh, that's it. It just surprised me. I just assumed they'd be like 100. I don't know, 80%.
If the net's wider, more people finished it later. Because
I don't know when they start measuring. I'm not sure. But we talked about it like with Sandman, right? When they kind of waited to see what the finish through was, right? Because they want, obviously, what's the point of making season 2 if you're going to get 20% people finishing the show, right? It's just too much money. It doesn't make any sense. So maybe a couple. I don't know what time frame they use. Maybe a couple weeks. I don't. I couldn't find that information. This streamers are very mysterious with the numbers and how it's. I don't even know. Right? It's odd. But Amazon, man, they got to come guns blazing with this shit, dude. They have to.
I mean, listen. If anything, Amazon, talk to the people who do The Boys and Invincible, and see how what they do to kind of like speed things up and make these.
Yeah,
Or you could take a tip from the '90s and just make the orcs rap. That'd be a good way to do it. I mean,
wow.
how did it ever go bad when you just stick in a rap song? The Ninja Turtles Part 2 is immortal now because of the rap song. So I'm just saying there are other ways to get
the legendary Vanilla Ice, taking center stage there. I mean, come on, who can
bring back Limp Bizkit as orcs and they perform? I mean, listen, you're gonna for the train wreck value alone, we're gonna watch it. So I'm just saying.
Actually, I kind of will watch that guy. I can't lie.
See,
I ain't gonna lie about that. But yeah, so interesting story. That obviously we'll see how season 2 goes, and season 1's like a part, like a act 1, then it should start like with an act 2 just already in motion. We introduce all the characters, we know what's going on, and I guess it's a very dense show, a lot to do, a lot of heavy lifting, but you gotta pace it way better than what they did. This next one, this is in the category of what the fuck. So, at least for me anyway. You may feel differently. But the Donald Glover, of course, who was Lando in Solo.
And soon to be the Hypno Hustler.
The Hypno Hustler. True, correct. I'm excited about, actually. Donald Glover's great. He's a great performer. He really is. So, yes, Solo, I wasn't a huge fan. That was the least successful financially movie of the Star Wars for many reasons. Whatever. So, based off that, they were talking to him about, his own standalone movie series or whatever.
Sure.
And normally they ask the actors are going to say, yeah, of course, right? Who's going to say, no, I don't want a paycheck? Of course they're going to say yes, right? But this one kind of went a little bit deeper, saying he's actually has been in talks with whomever at Lucas about actually developing this show.
All right.
Whether or not that comes to fruition, I don't know. But I'm hearing this. I'm saying a big fat no. I do not want a Lando series. And forget about Lando movie. This makes zero sense, man. Am I nuts? I mean, I don't know.
I kind of want a Lando movie, but I want it framed. Okay, do you remember the show on HBO a couple years ago with Thomas Jane called Hung?
Familiar, never saw it though.
Okay, Thomas Jane basically becomes a male escort, and so it's his day in life adventures of like trying to make money in the escort business while managing his own personal life. Show me Lando as a conniving ladies man, getting by from con to con, trying to make the big score. Show me how he wins Bespin. That's the series. I want to see the guy who just lost the ship to Han all the way to the guy who won Bespin. You show me, and it's got to be like, we're not going to watch it for the altruism. We're going to watch it for the funny douchebaggery of the Star Wars universe. Have him like hooking up with a Mon Calamari heiress. Have him, having to like program, teach a pleasure droid how to satisfy. Have him get
describing like Captain Kirk in a Star Wars universe.
I kind of want, but I want that. But Captain Kirk is doing it for like
at least the Shatner version, anyway. Yeah.
The Shatner version, obviously. But Shatner is all about I'm here exploring, but I find love. He's not exploring. The universe is explored. He is taking advantage and hustling all through until he gets to the thing of like, man, if I marry this 800-year-old Jabba the Hutt, I can get Bespin as soon as this hut dies. What am I like? Show me that, and I'm in. But if it's just an adventure, go screw yourself.
I want to, which is it's exactly what it's going to be. Right? We know what if again this doesn't talk. It means nothing, right? But just the idea that even contemplating doing a series. Just get your shit together first. We're gonna get more into that.
But later. Get me Bespin. I want to see how he wins Bespin. That's it.
This has Boba Fett written all over it. Really.
I don't think so. If you
and the way that they want to do it, to me it screams Boba Fett.
If you let Donald Glover, based on how he does Atlanta, you let him executive produce a show, it's gonna be weird gold, and I want that.
Yeah, I wish I could be with you there. I wish that would be the case, but we know that's not what they're gonna do with the show.
Listen. I'm optimistic. I'm also stupid. So, I mean, it can happen.
Okay, that's fair. Then, I'll allow it then. That's a fair point. But let's see. I mean, like I said, it's just talk. I just got Solo left a real bad taste in my mouth. I just don't want to do anything with Solo, and
Hey,
I
I
get,
get it.
again, I mean, I'm mainly because honestly, again, I said it before. Let's get away from the universe we know and been hammering our head with for the last 40 years. Can we
Understood.
just go
Sure.
somewhere else with a new character and do something different? That's what I'm saying. Um,
Or he's the bastard child of Lando who just discovered Lando's his father and he's discovering his inheritance. I mean, that would be pretty awesome too.
I like the first idea better. I can't argue. Which
Whatever, man.
either one would be better with them. Whatever I would imagine they're gonna come up with this show if they were
Sure.
actually to do it. Let's go to MCU because MCU has been a little rocky lately, right? We know the movies and Ant-Man didn't do well, yada yada yada, and we talked
A
about
lot of behind the scenes
behind the scenes with
restructuring
was it Alonso's her name, right? The
of Victoria Alonso
Alonso who got
and
fired
also a big fire this past.
Jonathan Majors, the greatest villain in Creed history. Sorry, but yeah, obviously as Kang, we saw him in Ant-Man and Loki, and he got himself in a little bit of hot water, allegedly, of course.
Did.
No doubt
He
about
did.
it. He was arrested a couple weeks ago on accusations of abusing his girlfriend, I guess in a cab or whatever, Uber or something, and strangled her or whatever, right?
That's actually because I heard about the new evidence where they released the text messages of her sending to him, sort of like saying it wasn't. Those are other injuries that she had, and when the cops saw those injuries, they presumed it was him. But they also so it's. I listen.
It's kind of a mess because it's funny because like when the attorney came out, like literally the same night, right, or maybe a day after, and he's like, "Oh, we're going to DA tomorrow because it's on Sunday, so yeah, Monday. We're going to show him video evidence. We got two independent witness testimonies. We got the driver's statement, all which are going to exonerate his client, Jonathan Majors.
Boom.
2 weeks later, nothing. Where are we at?
Because you don't want
What's going on?
It's all because here's the thing, they are doing the court case. It got the trial that they have set up to do everything. I think it's actually going to be next week.
Well, but his stance was he was just gonna show the DA, hey, here it is, and don't even press charge. Let's not even move forward with this. We got a video. I mean, video never lies, right? People misremember, memories get fuzzy.
But to be fair, I'll say this: Jonathan Majors, I didn't even know he had a kid, and apparently this girlfriend is the mother of the child, and so to me, it just sounds like a dude who did a really good job keeping his life private, and he's handling it privately. Because if it was real, it would have blown up. But because it's nothing and he's keeping it private, it's just, hey man, it's cool. Don't worry about it. That's how I feel like to me. That's what it seems like.
That's a huge negative.
Think so?
Like I said, I do a lot of attorney stuff. Work with attorneys, and you have evidence. You go to DA, it don't even press charges. It gets dropped immediately, instantly. They're not waiting 2 weeks later. When you wait 2 weeks, if they're going to press charges and move forward, it's because they're trying to gather evidence, right? Okay, so I'm Major's attorney. Here you go, video. Okay, why are you waiting 2 weeks to collect evidence? Then, because there's no video. It doesn't exist. Nonsense.
You don't think so?
Or what he has is nonsense, and his testimonies are nonsense. And not to say he did it. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's kind of peculiar. That's 2 weeks later, and it's just still a story when she should have been exonerated a day or two at best.
Well, put it this way.
Because if you go to, let's say you got to okay, fine. I got caught stealing something. No problem, right? You go to jail, come back out. Here's the video. Look, that's not me. Bye. Just it's that simple. There's no jumping hoops and not waiting to present this evidence at a preliminary hearing or indictment. That's not how it works, right? They get the evidence first, and then they decide if they want to move forward with an indictment or charges or whatever, right? So if they have the video, as his attorney claims, this is a done deal. It seems kind of odd. Something's not right with what's going on here, right? Even the text, some people divide. I read a lot of comments and stories about that because people took it as her word. Others people took it like, listen, we've seen situations. People, this is not a laughing matter, but those in an abusive relationship, man or women, are kind of very trying to please those who they're abusers, right? It happens all the time.
Okay.
Or it's my fault, I'm sorry. And that's the text kind of may have been interpreted that way. I don't know. It's possible.
I
It won't
didn't
be the
take it
first
that
time
way.
that's happened, right? Where things have been accused and then they take it back. Oh, it happens all the time. So I get it. I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know. But, the Army took away his commercial. I get it. He was going to go to Penn State for a big speech. That got canceled, obviously. They're waiting till the smoke clear. I understand it. It makes sense from a business standpoint. So now let's talk. Let's go in the worst case scenario, right?
Worst case scenario, he pleads variant.
With me, it was the other guy. I tell you it is, but the ants got him.
Worst case scenario.
I don't want to tell you. But let's go worst case scenario. Let's whatever. He's charged with a crime or whatever. I'm sure he plead out or whatever or pays whatever. Now we know the history with Disney and how they kind of move forward with this kind of stuff, right? They fire people for less, right?
Yes.
See Gina Carano, see James Gunn, for a lot less. Those are just words in the Twitters. It is what it is, right? So, if this is worst case scenario, do you see him? Do we see Kang? Sean Majors as Kang? I mean, honestly,
I thought of this horribly worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is they introduce the ultimate Kang who kills the council of Kangs, and then it makes it more complicated because they pick a white guy. Like, ugh, this is just bad. All this is not going to work at all. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, because you could do variants on variants and make a Kang Prime, and then have that guy take care of business.
It's very. It's a bad position to be in for Kevin Feige. He's like, I'm sure he's praying like it goes away. It all go away, and that's
sucks.
Fine, right?
It really sucks that this happens. I mean, obviously, domestic violence in any situation is bad whenever it happens.
Of course.
But imagine you got a guy who chooses to be the most domestic violently, if this is what he did, on the precipice of his giant blow up. Like, you couldn't be domestic violence guy while doing just Lovecraft Country. You had to do it now. Like,
now,
it is
right. You're at the he's hitting his stride, his prime, right? He's doing a lot of good stuff. And he's getting recognized, and man, this is the wrong time for this to surface, right? Wow.
Suddenly, Ezra Miller is like, you see?
He's like, you're it. He's like, no one talks about me now. I'm clear. Bring on the Flash, baby. Yeah. If they gotta replace him, I mean, it'd be an awkward situation. But I'll say this:
it would.
Look, Frank Grillo could always come back.
Oh,
there, we got room for you.
You were taking my idea of bringing a white guy Kang and made it worse.
Frank Grillo's gotta eat, man. I'm gonna tell you. But yeah, this is weird. I mean, I hope it's not true. Obviously, right? It's clear.
Obviously,
maybe in a couple weeks, it all comes to surface. I never want
anyone to be abused in a
Yeah,
relationship. Obviously,
nobody wants.
I really hope he didn't do it. I really hope that she hasn't been abused and she's taking responsibility. Like, I really have none of. I hope it was just a misunderstanding, and it gets dismissed and let go. But not only from like a comic book nerd perspective, but just on a person perspective.
In general, right? We don't want to see that. That sucks. That's unacceptable, right? From any guy, that's not. We don't condone any of that. No one should.
Not at all.
So it'll be. I mean, I hope it's clear, because this is a really interesting situation. Because it's and it happens to be Disney. Right, we know Warner Bros. Kind of lets that slide. As president there with them, but MCU and Disney, no, that's a wrap, right? They'll drop your ass like that. It is what it is, because they have no choice. There's no way to keep him on. Let's assume if it, worst case scenario, there's not a chance in hell he stays on. Impossible.
I think the only way he would stay is Disney comes out. It's like, guys, he's already playing a villain. You're supposed to not like him. So
it fits in. He's in character. That's not joking. I'm not. We'll leave that one alone. Leave that alone.
Sure.
It's a bad situation. It is bad situation. It is what it is. But that's interesting. We're gonna keep an eye on this, because that's a big one. Marvel.
It's a big one, man. It's a rough one. And I hope it was all a misunderstanding.
I really do.
I hope it was all a misunderstanding.
Marvel needs a win.
It's squashed.
Marvel needs a big one. They really do. Yeah. Behind or in front of the camera, they need to figure something out, because this is really this is going bad really fast. But let's stick with Marvel here, because we had one of the pretty big trailers that dropped this week.
Yes.
So Secret Invasion coming out June 21st.
Yeah.
Of course, 4 trailers. I know a teaser came out earlier. Samuel L. Jackson. I wish this is not a bad trailer. It actually looks good. I just have no desire for the show. Not because of the show. It's because there's no reason for anybody to be excited about anything with the name Marvel in front. There's no reason. Because they've been giving us mediocrity all this time. Why should I expect greatness when I've gone the last 2 years of mediocrity, right? Don't get me wrong, this show could be the greatest thing of all time. Who knows, right? But when Star Wars comes out, we have the same doubts, right?
Listen, I
think it's fair for Marvel to have the same doubts, saying, okay, here's another show. Because the shows, we haven't gotten a single great show, and the good ones have started great and kind of fade in the end, and a couple of crap fests. Why would I believe, and this could be the greatest show I've ever seen, and that could be jumping jacks and running around naked, how excited. Honestly, I would never get excited about this show because it's Marvel. Why am I excited? Well,
first of all, that's ridiculous because you should be excited because Marvel, the over-under is excitement. It is rewarding your excitement.
The credit lasts only so long with any kind of studio. You can give us 800 great movies.
I kind of feel,
but when you give but it's been 2 years. It's been 2 years of mediocrity. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm not going to get excited about to see a show that's cool. I'm not going to. I'm going to watch it and hope it's good. But should I get excited about it? Well, I'm going to get excited. Oh, right. What's for dinner? Hamburger patty. Great. Where's my steak? We haven't gotten steak in so long. You're gonna keep
that's true.
You keep feeding me hamburger patties. I'll eat it. And
we haven't got it. We've had like skirt steak. Like No Way Home.
Which is fine.
Wakanda Forever. A skirt steak. But not a meaty good steak.
Okay. I agree. Was just a good. It had fries on the side of that patty with Wakanda. But for the most part, right? The majority have been okay. Right, it hasn't been bad. Right. It's been okay. So
they've been B pluses. They've been B pluses.
Right. So I'm not gonna get excited about a B plus. Right.
I will say
I'm watching it. I hope it's great.
I'm hoping. I get the feel, and I'm hoping that Secret Invasion is Marvel's Andor. That would be really exciting to me. Is because Andor is such a good series. Absolutely. I want that sort of like real serious take on like the griminess of that universe, and I feel like Secret Invasion's kind of going for that. And I hope that's what we get.
It has a good tone to it.
I'm going to be excited.
Yeah, I heard the first episode's pretty good, and it's got like a really like, oh shit ending, like oh my god, whatever. The rest of the show could, but again, even the good shows have started off really well, right? Even like Miss Marvel or
Moon Knight,
they haven't finished great. They haven't been bad.
Right.
But they haven't maintained that level of excellence that the first few episodes gave us.
Understood.
So even if the first episode he was great, the second one, I'm still going to be like back in my head. Because we talk about all the time, right? How's it going to end, right? We've had this conversation about almost every show. Like,
what's the dismount going to look
like? Right. One episode left, they're rushing it, it's too short. Again, I can't expect anything else because that's what they've been giving us for the last 2 years. So it's hard. Right. I hope it's great. And this is a small thing, but it seemed like it's going to be part of the whole Kang thing at all.
I don't know.
It seems like a separate thing. I don't know if there's anything so. And it
is. I know Secret Invasion. I have the Secret Invasion series. It has nothing to do with Kang. You're fine about that.
That's like, can we get to the meat here, right? It's like, but that's what I want to see because I mean that's what building up to. We're getting all these shows diverting attention from their quote unquote end game. Is like, where are we going with all this stuff? It's like Mandalorian, which we'll get to in a minute, but.
It can be affecting Kang without being about Kang. It could reposition the universe so when the next time you meet Kang, you like it's no longer. So I'm hoping
if they can do that, great. If
it's a reposition of like the power players.
That's fair. Or maybe Jonathan Majors, if the worst comes about, they can do a quick reshoot at the end and put the new Kang in. Frank Grillo, please come to the front. So listen, the trailer was good. It really was. It looked cool, but again, I'm just reserved because I just don't know what we're gonna get here. And I love Samuel Jackson, I really do. And I'm worried about what's her face, Game of Thrones girl, Daenerys.
Oh,
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke. I call it Khaleesi.
Yeah. Khaleesi. Outside Game of Thrones, she's been shit. She has.
I haven't really seen what she's done outside of Game of Thrones, to be honest with you.
She did some love movie. The rom-com was terrible. She did the Terminator Genesis or whatever that's called.
Yeah, that was before Game of Thrones.
No, man, that came out. The Game of Thrones was already in full swing, dude. Way different. Yeah, it could have been even after, to be honest with you. No, it was during Game of Thrones. It was during, but
it was
again,
during. Okay.
But she's still her, right? And she just hasn't done anything outside it. That concerns me a little bit. I hope she does better than what she has outside Game of Thrones. But so let's see. Let's talk about the next trailer. Let's go to DC. This one's interesting. It's a landmark film for us, the Latino community, finally getting.
Oh, are you talking about
that guy?
Blue Beetle?
That guy right there. Finally, we're getting our due. Right after all these years, no longer must we rely on the shoulders of Michael Pena and Ant-Man. We got a true Latino playing a Latino superhero character. This is what I'm saying, right? Whether it's good or not,
it's not a Latino playing a Jewish guy.
Right. It's a Latino playing a
Mandalorian. It is a
Latino, right? Familia, which I like about the trailer and that kind of vibe to it. So that trailer finally came out, and it was cool. It looked pretty cool. It looked fun, right? It looked fun. It's kind of had this Shazam mixed with little Iron Man, obviously, little Spider-Man in there. So
it felt like Iron Man meets Power Rangers. That's how I took it.
Okay, that's another good. Yeah, that's fine. That's a fair assessment. I definitely get that. But it was, first of all, I thought, like, I was worried about maybe some of the effects because this was originally being filmed as a HBO film, streaming film. They changed their minds, which bode well for the film as far as the quality.
Absolutely.
But the effects look great. They look movie quality.
Really
so, they pumped some money in there. Some really cool imagery, especially when he's on top of them on space and Earth. That was a really cool scene. Like, that looked fantastic.
When the bus is coming into him and he's splitting the bus in half.
Yeah.
And like maneuvering between people, I was like, that looks really cool.
I mean, seeing that in slow motion, like putting his hand like oh shit, like really quick. You've seen that trailer, really cool. That looked really good. The sword in the end looked, it was pretty badass. It looks like a lot of fun, dude. I like this guy, Zolo Madrueña, I think.
He's from Cobra Kai.
Yeah, the Cobra Kai. Yeah, exactly. Miguel from Cobra Kai, so he's getting his due. Which is great because he's he can play physical. You've seen him in Cobra Kai. He can actually he's not a great fighter, but he can do some physicality involved.
I'm sure he's even done. I'm sure he's actually one of the guys in the suits. Usually his martial arts.
Yeah, because you see him. And even some of the still shots I had months ago. He's wearing the suit, right? I think it's a combination of practical and CGI, which is great. So the suit looks real.
It's really the best way to go about these kind of things.
Right, exactly. You can tell in the trailer. It looked fun, dude. The whole family aspect. Look, Latinos, we know how it is with family, right? We're Latino, we know the family and everyone in the house.
George Lopez's Theo character, like setting the internet on fire, calling Batman a fascist. I thought all that was hysterical.
That was funny. That was very funny. This was good. It's entertaining, man. I think, even worst case scenario, we get a good Shazam, which we liked.
Yeah,
which is what we're seeing.
I also like the fact that they made up a city for him to be in, which means you can destroy it and it doesn't really matter.
No one's gonna care. Exactly. Let her rip, man. But it looks good.
Burn this make-believe bitch to the ground. Like, you can do whatever you want.
No, it looks cool, man. And there've been talks whether this is gonna remain as part of the new DC. I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, I don't think this movie's gonna do well, unfortunately. Because
really?
Not as well as it would be like.
As well as the first Shazam. If it does as well as the first Shazam, I'll consider it a win.
It'd be a win. But I don't. It depends because these unknown characters. It's hard. Unknown character.
Sure.
I'm hoping the Latino community comes out. When Black Panther came out, that thing was huge, right? It was a landmark. It was a cultural event, right? This carries some of that weight, not totally, but because it's the first one. This is what we get. This is how we finally get our chance, right? This is the only one and. 20-some years of superhero films, we finally got Latino in front and center, right? The only one. So, come out. You got to support it, for Christ's sake. We're the biggest minority population in the country, for Christ's sake. But it looks fun. It looks cool. So, I'm glad because, the movie could be shit for all we know, right? But
like, the funny parts were funny. Yeah. The action parts look cool. Yeah. The costume looked dynamic. Yeah. Overall, it's interesting, and I know I'm going to watch it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm obviously watching it. I guess I'm rooting for this one. I guess I don't think it's going to...
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to bust down the financial sector as far as box office, but you're right. If it comes around that first Shazam, the 40 to 50 million, fine. That's a good number. And let's see. Because, he's also... we talked about this, not necessarily the Miguel Reyes character in this one, but what's the other guy? The blonde guy that did the show about on HBO? He's from the future.
Oh, Booster Gold.
Booster Gold, right? Because I think you mentioned this too, that him and Blue Beetle kind of part on the version of Blue Beetle.
Not Jaime Reyes, but
not Jaime Reyes, right? Yeah,
but
a version of it.
Is in it,
right?
And
they could always tweak
Cord's costume. You see the Golden Age Blue Beetle there, and you see Cord's bug ship fly out. So there's rumors that Ted Kord is in the movie, and it's being played by none other than Mr. Jason Sudeikis. That's right, Ted
Really?
Lasso
Ted
himself.
Lasso?
That's what I heard, and that's exciting. They pulled that off.
For a
I'm just
second, I thought you
saying.
were gonna say Frank Grillo, but I mean, okay.
No,
You know,
we're properly casting this thing. We got Ted Lasso open this.
which would be awesome all on its own. So
It'd be great. Now
that'd
you
be great.
got Ted Lasso
Come on.
with Booster Gold.
Come on.
I'm in.
That would be interesting. But I
I'm
mean,
buying that.
let's see. I mean, it looks cool. So hopefully it does well. I'm excited about this one. Next, the last one here, of course. This is the big one, right? Into the Spider-Verse. The second one dropping its trailer. And before we get into it, it's funny because this one, the numbers came out because they always look at the first 24-hour views as far as the trailer. And this one outdid everything that came out recently, whether it be Flash or Doctor Strange. The only thing it didn't beat was Black Panther, obviously, and Thor. But it outdid everything else, even Guardians of the Galaxy. This one had more views than that. So it's showing people like, oh, wow, there's a big interest in this film. Trailers out. It's got so much stuff on screen, which I saw.
Many Spideys.
Yeah, I figure you probably know most of them, or at least a big part
I know a lot of them. I happen to have Miles Morales' first appearance. Humble brag. So I'm excited. I got Miles Morales over here. I got Miles Morales. I'm a big Miles Morales fan. I got to tell you, this movie has got me super excited. And I got to tell you, what made me most excited about this trailer wasn't seeing all the Spider-Man. We got versions of the first movie, so I was like, oh, cool, more Spider-Man. This is exciting. What sold me was the Spot. Seeing the Spot trying to rob an ATM and having like ready to red.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, oh my God, this. Yeah. His posture's all like he doesn't. There's nothing intimidating about him, but the fact that you take into consideration he has teleportation powers, and if there's anything with a multiverse, what could those portals like? When I finally put those two things together, I was like, oh, this could be really big. He could be like the most dangerous unintentional villain that the whole story is built around. I am really excited about that, and even excited about the fact that this movie references No Way Home.
Yeah.
The Doctor Strange and that nerd. I was like, that's so great.
Yeah.
And big shout outs for calling the MCU Earth 199999999 instead of 616. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go. Sony doesn't always get it right. Closely never. But that right there, I was in. I'm like, oh no. Do what you can. Tell me your story.
We're so in with this one. Looks like it's gonna have some of the horror element, which would make the first one so good. I love the first one. I really do. This was why I like 3-4 films like they were most anticipated. We had this one, John Wick, Mission Impossible, and Oppenheimer. With those are ones I gotta see above anything else. Even Guardians, even above all those. All right. So man, I hope this one's gonna be great. I don't have any doubt in my mind it's not gonna.
I'm really excited.
I'm really excited about this one. Yeah.
Guys. I don't want to get Bill too high, but we're so looking forward to this movie. We might have some like special guests on to talk about this movie. But listen, that's neither here nor there.
As the movie nears, we'll definitely
give you more information.
But yeah, we do have something planned for that. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, this movie is great. Sure. I can't wait. And this kicks off the second biggest month in films. March was big, right, in terms of the quantity and quality. June is just as packed. Wait, this one's off the gate. We got this one.
I mean, if you think about it, March is packed, April's packed, June is going to be bananas.
April's packed with more some horror stuff, but nothing. Mario's the only big thing, right?
Well, I mean, Mario was the tail end of March, and so I'll put that because March had like back-to-back movies.
I mean, it was all the way. It was like every week there was some. That's what I'm saying. They were all good.
Yeah,
they all hit, right? Not a single bad film, and out of the big ones, right? But June is this, and I think it's a week later it's Transformers, then it's Flash, then it's Elemental, then it's Indiana Jones. I mean, come on, and Jesus Christ! I mean, that's
it's an embarrassment of riches.
It really is. Can't get any bigger than that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and this is a great way to kick off that month anyway. Last and least here, Mandalorian.
How dare you, sir? It's last, never least.
It's least today.
How dare
to give you an indication of my thoughts on this past episode.
I love this episode.
I was so afraid you're gonna say that.
I love this episode.
This is the reason why this viewership's down like 25 to 30% on this course. This is exactly that's a story just came out. But the viewers, they lost a quarter of the viewers this season, which is
People do not appreciate awesome. That's what it is. I'm saying it right now.
This
you don't appreciate awesome.
This episode wasn't bad. It was horrendous. It was the
Get out of here. You're
worst
crazy.
episode of Mandalorian
You're crazy.
everywhere. And don't take my word for it.
The fact that there were cops on this planet, this is great.
This was ridiculous.
So much fun.
Jack Black.
I love Jack Black.
I love Jack Black.
Like,
but
is it as good as last week's episode when they fought the pirates? No, the pirate episode to me is like the best episode of the season. This one is like third best of the season so far.
Wow. Okay. I mean, which is fine. Listen, there are like 6 people I read that liked it. There are the 90% despises even more than I did. I'm actually being nice with this episode from stuff that I
thought it was such a fun episode. I don't understand the problem. Like, oh, look at all these stunt casting. I was like, yeah, man. Every time.
I mean, listen, I love Christopher Lloyd, but I really.
Ed Sheeran was in Game of Thrones. You can shut up with your like, get out of here. It was fun, man.
Look, I love Christopher Lloyd, and he was cool, but I really wish he had a DeLorean to get me the fuck Back to the Future. Give me the fuck.
Get out of here! You're crazy.
This episode is so bad. The tone was horrendous.
It was great.
It had nothing to do. But this is the problem. This is the problem, right?
Into the Jordan Cantina. It was so much fun. What are you talking about?
This could have been the funnest show ever, which it wasn't. Let's assume it was the fun episode. We'll go with your theory. This show had nothing to fucking do with anything of this fucking show or narrative, and we're 6 episodes in, and they haven't given us
5 minutes was all you needed to keep the narrative going.
Those 5 minutes should have been 30 minutes, because the last 5 minutes meant nothing. It meant nothing because nothing was built up because it was spending time with some stupid ass CSI where a robot happens to carry without any pockets a car to a fucking bar. What the fuck is that nonsense? He was carrying a car and he was running like a human. When we seen this robot never even come close to moving like that in any of the 8,000 fucking films this robot's been in. This episode is hot garbage. Lizzo, no one liked her act. Not a single person said anything about her acting. And let me tell you, it was embarrassingly bad. She sucked. And that's not a subjective. That is a pure objective viewpoint. It was terrible.
She was a fluff character. She was a fluff character, awful. So I took it as
she fluff. Was awful. The story, we spent a 40-minute episode with only 5 minutes. Think about this, Eric. We talked about this, and you agreed this show has gone nowhere. And this episode is indicative where we're going to spend 40 minutes, 30-some minutes on an aspect of a show that has nothing to do with anything. And the most important part, we're going to dedicate 5 minutes and has no weight to it. And at the end, here's the sword, which he should have given it to her 4 episodes ago when she actually won it fair and square, because Mando's all about, the rules and the lore and all that. He knew that sword was never his. And now he decides to give it. It's just terrible writing. It's nonsense. Now he waits to give it. He should have given it to her 4 episodes ago. She should have had it from the get-go because she earned it, like he admitted. It's terrible writing. I'm sorry. And Bryce Dallas Howard should be embarrassed because she's a great director and done the best episodes of Mandalorian. This is, and I don't blame her. This is all Jon Favreau and Filoni with the shitty ass writing, with an inconsistent season.
I gotta tell you, I like this episode. I like the fact that it was an homage to like a Law and Order, a detective thing. Or I love those kinds of stories. I thought it was super fun. They did it with the droids. I thought that she found the component inside one of like his side ports, like because droids have little compartments they put things into. So I thought that's what she found. Yeah, because we
all know the robots have to memorize a card when they have to go to because they don't have computers in their head. Come on, bro, it's terrible. It's just there's no excuse for that, dude. I'm sorry. It's just bad. It's terrible. Why would he carry it? It makes no sense. And of course, it's a robot morgue because why not be morgue robots? It's just so dumb. It's so stupid. It's just stupid. Jack Black's character is terrible, man. And I love Jack Black.
I love Jack Black too. I thought he was silly and fun.
But this is not the show for that. I'm sorry,
like,
dude.
Honestly,
and this has been a problem all season, right? Because now we got 2 episodes left, and what's going to happen in 2 episodes? Now we're going to get to the story. So if anybody can tell me,
I thought we had 3 episodes.
There's 2 left. This was there's only 2 left. There's 8 total. This was number 6.
I thought it was 9. Okay.
There's 8. So now they leave us 2 episodes to finally start and finish a story. I don't give a fuck who you are. There's no one Hispanic can tell me you can do a good story in 2 episodes. It's not happening. It's not happening. Which means they're going to get rushed, like Disney always does. This is a clear. This is why this episode is such a waste of time, Eric. Because we got 2 left, and they set up the last one. Oh, now we're getting the story. Here we go, and we get 5 minutes. 5 minutes of story, badly done, mind you. 5 minutes, leaving us 2 episodes. And what have we complaining about all this time? Every show, the
No
endings
direction.
are rushed.
No direction.
Well, now we got to finish it really quick, and this is what they leave us, man. This episode should not have been here. This is episode 1. Fair enough. I still would have been terrible, but whatever, right? You forgive because we got 7 more episodes to build off what this did. We got 2 left, dude. We don't know what the hell fuck's going on. The show started supposed to be Mando's redemption that lasted an episode and a half. Okay, then it was, I don't know what, we're introducing characters that, well, whatever, inconsequential apparently. We got Moff Gideon, whatever, he's mentioned the past, and now taking over Mandalorian. That's the story, but now we got 2 episodes to actually tell that story. It's just nothing's fitting, man. It's been a very bad season, man. This is the first season of Mandalorian. I would have been out. It gets credit because the first season was so good. This is the first season. I defy you to tell me this is a great. This is Boba Fett. It's exactly what this is.
No, it's way better than
it's
Boba
the same
Fett.
thing.
Way
It's bad.
better.
It's the tones all over the place. The story's gone nowhere.
To me,
and it's a show that had its shit together for 2 good seasons, man. I'm like,
to me, I honestly felt like the way the season should have gone is episode 1 the way it is, episode 2 the way it is, then it should have gone straight to episode 5, and then this episode. So this should not have been episode 6. It should have been episode 4, and then the next 4 episodes would be the story that you wanted to tell. I think that would have been a much more concise way to tell the story.
That's totally fair, but that's what I'm talking about, right? Because where are we at with this, right? It was almost like watching Bad Batch for a second. Like, where are we going with this, right? We're just showing us stuff that's going on, but which is why we get off the show, because like it wasn't going anywhere. We give the show a lot of credit because it deserved, it's earned it, right? Even like Marvel, right? We put it in Marvel's mediocrity because they gave us like many years of good shit.
Sure.
So let's see what happens. But let's be honest, this is the first season of this show. Not a
Well,
chance
listen.
this show explodes. And you can obviously tell the baby Yoda was never supposed to be part of this season.
No,
At all.
it was not.
You know what I'm saying? We can agree on that because he's got.
I agree.
He's
I
pointless.
agree.
Nothing, and I love baby, but he's just there. They just show him maybe put a camera towards him, and you can go and then pan back to what's going on. He should have stayed with Luke and come back in a year or two, like we talked about. But they knew that they needed this guy, that little baby. He's the money maker, and I get it. And when this first happened, I'm like, I gotta do a show without Baby Yoda. That's pretty ballsy.
Yeah, we thought it was pretty ballsy. I remember.
And no balls, right? They just toss him in there. He has no purpose. He's just there to be cute. And I love Baby Yoda, but he's okay. Whatever. He giggles here and there, and he gets.
If they showed him training more to be a Mandalorian, it would make more sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Give him up something to do, right? He's purpose, he's
Right.
part of them. It's just Din's in the background, and all that. It's all about Bo-Katan. It's just, I don't know. It's just a mess. It shows all over the place, and maybe the show ends well. Even if it ends well, the show's gonna be okay at best. If it ends really well, right? But again,
Yeah, I will say, season 2 was so good.
of course it was.
Their story pacing so tight, and there was an through arc that was so clear
Exactly.
that this one in comparison does not feel the same way, especially because we did have a lot of hopes, like, oh man, what is the schism going to be between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin now? How is it going to affect his clan? And you're right, a lot of the stories are being resolved way too fast.
It's like
Way too quickly, and that's not what the show is. The show is been about done in one stories with a tail end of the overall story arc. Which is why
them going off
like
in
this
a tangent.
episode,
We've seen that this show do that before. It's like a western. They go roll into town.
Right.
Something happens. They clear it up and they go on.
To me, which is why I like this episode so much, because it was a side story that then the back end came into the narrative, but it should not have been episode
That's what
6.
I'm saying. It had no business being done.
That's why I
It
think
had no business.
if this would have been sooner, it would people like this would have been a great episode. Because it's
I
later.
honestly
Now
don't think
it's
that would
all
have happened either, because a
the
lot of dumb. But a lot of the writing's been very bad this season. It really has, right? We talked about the whole scene with the birds, whatever, that dragon thing. That was just,
Right.
it was just badly. It was lazy.
Yeah.
It was weird. It's just
Yeah.
odd because I'm not used to seeing this from the show. Right? I'm not saying this show has stellar writing. It's saying Andor,
listen,
but it's been good.
you have your sources. I have mine. And from what I heard is that Kathleen Kennedy was very involved in this
What a
season
shocker.
because they were repurposing Rangers of the New Republic into this. They also repurposed things that was supposed to the original third season. They took a chunk of that and threw it into Boba Fett because they panicked.
Obviously.
And so now you're like taking a disjointed season, throwing a series that didn't even belong in it on top of it, and they're trying to mush it all together. Plus all the drama from last season where Pedro Pascal wanted to take his helmet off more, and they said no, and that led to Kathleen Kennedy using this opportunity to kind of like mishmash things together. Jon Favreau's been upset. There's a lot of
it's been a mess.
Swirls,
but it's a mess. I would love to have seen like this. In hindsight, those episodes in Boba Fett should have been the beginning of this one, or maybe they could have juggled, the training of Baby Groot and have that kind of going on at the same time he's going for his redemption, right? And have this, and then maybe they can intercede at the end, which is maybe I thought would have maybe happened. They panicked, and it's obvious. It's so obvious that he was not part of the show of this season. He really, I think Favreau's prepared to go on without him, at least temporarily. Season 4, they could have come back, right? They could have reunited season 4 and whatever. That would have been great. Would have been great.
And from what I heard too, is that Filoni was so focused on doing the Ahsoka Tano series that he didn't. Favreau's kind of left to his own while dealing with the mandates for the studio. So he was kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place.
That doesn't surprise me. It's Kathleen Kennedy. What I've been saying for the longest time. She got to go, right? It's a disaster. It's really bad. This was the flagship show, right? It's not the flag. This is not a good example, indicative of what the show, what we got in the last couple of years and what it should be. So now, like, what's we got Andor, which no one really cares about, unfortunately, but it's a good show, great show. But
such a good show,
right? There wasn't watch as much. Unfortunately, it is what it is. People, whatever. I get it. To each their own. But this was the show, man. This is all we had in Star Wars. This is all we had was the Mandalorian, right? That's why I'm more upset because this is the only thing I had. Everything on Star Wars has been sucky, man.
Yeah.
Like, when I get in a movie for 6 years or however long it's gonna take to get a movie out there, and God, this is it. Now, as I'm saying, this show sucks. What do we have? What's left? We got nothing, man. It's and it sucks. It sucks because I love Star Wars and I really want. Disappointing, man. I'm not Ahsoka. I'm not excited. I can't get excited about Ahsoka now. I really can't.
That's a bummer.
And I want to, but we've gotten burned too many times.
And I got to tell you, I think the reason why I was feeling good about this episode because I didn't realize how many episodes were left. Now that I realize there's 2, now I'm like, oh, that's a problem.
That's what I'm saying. There's 2 left, and
I was like, oh man, we got another 4 episodes. We're fine. 2.
Listen, if there were 4 episodes, fine. A filler episode, fine, right? It wouldn't have been great. It still would have been kind of sick, but I can live with it. While taping this episode for our show, I suddenly felt like you just yelled last call. And I was like, no, we're ready to go home yet. And I'm like, quick, go to the bar. Start chugging away. You can't enjoy it. Looking around, what girls are left. Damn, they're all gone. Lights come on. Damn,
now
already?
I'm panicking.
Damn,
I had no reason to panic. But now I'm
it's like you're at the
panicking.
club, closes at 2 or 3 o'clock, and that's when the time when the time goes back. He's like, oh man, or 4, whatever it is, or it goes forward. You're like, oh shit, man, now you lost an hour. That's what it is. You just lost an hour of Mandalorian right there.
That's how you made it feel. I was feeling all good about this episode. Like,
bam, daylight savings time, or whatever it is.
Oh, what? So now you bummed me out. I hope you're happy. Now you bummed me out.
We've been truth here. So there's 2 left, and that's a concern, man. It really is a concern.
It is a concern, especially because Moon Knight proved that if you rush the last episode, even if there's elements that are good, it's not going to feel complete. Yeah. And now I'm worried about the rush. I'm saying
if we rush, it might be too packed, or they don't finish a story. I don't know. Who knows? They're going to take over. I guess now the goal is to take over Mandalore, right? That's the point. But in 2 episodes and Moff Gideon.
But I don't think they're going to take over Mandalore this season.
Definitely not now. I can tell you right now, that's not going to happen, right? I mean, not in 2 episodes. I mean, if it happened in 2 episodes, I'd be like, oh hell no, right? I mean, come on. That would be just the worst thing they could do is finish this particular storyline in 2 episodes. I'd rather see a continuation, a cliffhanger, whatever.
All I'm gonna say is this. It's been speculated that in the beginning of all the Star Wars shows, they have the helmets and it's colored red or blue for bad character, good character, and there's been a Mandalorian helmet in the red. all I'm thinking is, what if, in the process of trying to unite the clans, there's an evil Mandalorian clan that we have not truly introduced to yet, shows up, and maybe, just maybe, like they kill Bo-Katan
Oh hell, they're
and
not killing.
challenge.
There's no way they're
That would
killing
be
her,
cool.
dude.
I would I would be here for that
That's bold.
if
That's
if
bold.
they killed
That would be.
Bo-Katan. But wouldn't that make you go, you know what? I take
guess
it all back.
I
That
don't
was
know. I
awesome.
mean, doesn't. I mean, I don't see the point. I mean, I don't think that would make. I mean, if you want to do it the next season, I'm down with it. But this season, I don't know if that works, man.
But what? Okay, so but if they
I,
introduced a
I
challenging
wouldn't mind that, but
Mandalorian
again,
clan,
with 2 episodes, that's the kind of thing they should have been doing. If they're gonna do something like that, do it before. Start setting those seeds up now, not at the end. Oh, here's a clan out of nowhere, and they start fighting.
well, it's not necessarily not out of nowhere because there's been rumors that Moff Gideon is a Mandalorian that worked for the Empire, which is something they established in the Clone Wars animated series as the
Which
thing
would be
that happened.
cool.
So, right, that's what
But
I'm
I
saying.
think
So
that's
I
gonna be a
think there's,
reveal.
I think
I would suspect that'll be something they reveal at the very end. So, I guess.
I think at the end of the second to last episode, and then they're gonna up the ante in the last episode, and then maybe see, but then it'll leave like it's gonna be the final. It's gonna be the fight for leadership. Who gets to lead the clans to
There's a
Mandalore
lot to chew
at
on.
the
I mean,
end
that's
of
what I'm
the
saying. 2 episodes
season?
is not enough to really do this effectively, right? To do it,
Yeah,
I mean, you
I
can
mean
do
you're
it,
right.
but it's
You're
gonna be
right. But
rushed, overstuffed.
if they did that, would you be like, you know what? All right, it's not that bad. If they
I'd be
did that, would
fine
you
with
be
it. I guess
okay
it all
with it?
depends on how they do it. Because I guess I had no faith this season. I don't know what they're gonna do. I God forbid they do a side mission next episode. I swear to God.
If they do a side
Because
mission, then I will be bothered. If they do
oh
a
my
side
God!
mission,
You
I
see,
will be bothered.
as much as I love Ted Lasso, if Issa Sudeikis on here playing some Stormtrooper, I'm gonna be upset. Dude. I swear to God, dude. He lost his puppy somewhere. They had to go save him to get. I don't want to see that. I
Fair,
believe, as all
fair,
Ted Lasso
fair,
fans should believe, but it's man, I'm scared, dude. This is a bummer because this is the flagship show,
fair,
and we're getting
fair.
at best it's been fine.
Sure,
If that's fair, right? It's not a great season.
sure.
Nah, this is the worst season out of the three,
Right.
easily by far. Um,
It's not the worst, but it's
well,
the
it's the
weakest
worst
out
of
of
the
the three.
three. What's the difference?
I think the worst is like everything about this
As
has
far as
not
like
worked, and I
if I'm ranking the
enjoyed parts
seasons,
of
this is the
this.
bottom.
So,
Yeah, out of the 3 seasons, this is the
right?
bottom
Yes.
of by far, which is disappointing because we were excited about the show.
Sure.
A lot of people were about
Yeah,
that. So
we were
man, this
very much so.
man, God damn it. Oh, Captain Kennedy. Is it May yet? Is it June? When are they announcing this shit already? God forbid. And we got Star Wars celebration this month.
It's this month,
Next week,
April.
in
I
2
think it's
weeks.
like next
It's
week.
coming up very, very soon. So yeah, let's see what news comes out of it or something. I think we're gonna get some Ahsoka, just to predict.
I have some insider
It is
trading
next week.
news.
Well,
It's
there you
next
go.
week. Trust me.
So we're gonna get some
Yeah.
Ahsoka, maybe some Acolyte stuff. I think.
Maybe some
Yeah,
Skeleton Crew.
I mean, which is all TV shows, which is
I think they're gonna announce a movie or two
like
as well. By
I'm
the
not
way,
even
so
buying
keep an eye out.
They've announced like 6 movies and nothing has passed. So I don't know. I'll take that with a grain of salt. Like I've seen shows come out regularly.
Quentin Tarantino directs the next Star Wars.
Film,
That's right. You didn't see that coming.
You know, Spielberg. That's it. That oh my God. That's what we need. Spielberg doing Star Wars. All we right in the world if that happens. All right.
That'd be fun.
All right.
That'd be fun.
Of course, fuck yeah.
I'd be excited about that. Absolutely.
That'd be nothing to really be excited about is that. You know, but then again, if that sucks,
Yeah.
then forget it. I'm gonna kill myself. Renounce Star Wars forever.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Maybe MCU too, for God's sake. I mean, get your shit together. God damn it.
Boo.
So either way, but that being said, we're hoping for a better tomorrow. We're hoping for a better Thursday or Wednesday for Mandalorian. You know, in the meantime, we got Ted Lasso, so I'm happy. And those are the nuggets.
available for purchase there as well. Guys, let us know what you liked about the show, what you didn't like the show. We appreciate all the questions you let us know about. We try to answer as much as possible. So keep talking, keep letting us know what you think, and we will be here next week in Geek to let you know what's coming out as well. One more thing, Jose?
I thought about this right now, real fast. Sign up. You're watching Picard season 3, by the way.
I just started.
It's great.
It's pretty good.
It's really good. I'm caught up.
It's pretty good.
Watch that. Forget Mandalorian. That's the thing. You watch that after you watch Mandalorian. It's like, and listen, I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of the first 2 seasons. I thought they were mediocre at best. I know you didn't like.
I did not like the first 2 seasons.
So good.
I gotta say, it's almost like Picard is doing a reverse Mando. The
That's
first 2
what I'm
seasons
saying.
were junk.
Complete opposite.
This one's really
it's
good.
like
the first 2 Mandos are good, but this one's a little off.
Hell has frozen
so
over.
Very weird.
With a Picard
weird.
has surpassed Mandalorian quality. I never thought I'd say it, Dave. I just popped in my head. Sorry about that. But either way, yes.
But guys, thank you so much as always. And hey, listen, I've been Eric Da Silva. This has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know. Boom. Oh, and check out DangerSquad.com. Yeah. All right, here we go.